Hey guys, it's Nurse J at Nursing the Truth. I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. And as it is always in Louisiana, it is raining and it's dark and dreary. And what better time than to tell spooky ghost stories, as I've been doing in the month of October for Halloween. Now, I don't know how much spooky stuff I can bring you, but I found another thing that might interest my truth seekers and Gnostics and pagans alike. So, this Baphomet, the head of a goat with horns, as above, so below, you see. The Knights Templar that venerated St. John as the Christ and would pee on the cross and blaspheme the Christ. Yes, this is historical facts. So what about Mendes, and how in the world did this thing get its name? Baphomet, where did you come from? You know, in the circles of the Renaissance, this thing was running rampant. So, where does everything come from? Well, my friends, I told you everything basically comes from Egypt, Kemet, as it was originally named. So, Mendes, M-E-N-D-E-S, this is all knowledge in your wonderful fingertips of Wikipedia. This Greek name of the ancient Egyptian city of Djedid, also known in ancient Egypt as Per Beni Djedid, called the domain of the Ram Lord Djedid. And Anpet is known today as Tel El-Ruba in Arabic. So, if you know your ancient Egyptian gods, Osiris and Ptah, the supreme creator of the Egyptian pantheon. Ptah is holding his Djed, D-J-E-D, and when I was in Egypt, I did get a pair of Djed earrings. Beautiful. So now, you know, Mendes is an ancient Egyptian city known as the domain of the Ram Lord of Djedid. It was the capital of the 16th Lower Egyptian nome of Ka, until it was replaced by Thumos in Greco-Roman Egypt. During the 29th dynasty, Mendes was also the capital of ancient Egypt, lying on the Mendesian branch of the Nile. In ancient times, this beloved Mendes was a famous city that attracted the notice of most ancient geographers and historians, including Herodotus, Diodorus, Strabo, Mela, Pliny the Elder, and Stephanus of Byzantium. Archaeological evidence attests to the existence of the town at least as far back as the Naqada period, which is 4th millennium BCE. That's 4000 BCE. So we're looking over 6,000 years ago. The city was celebrated for the manufacture of a perfume designated as the Mendesium Unguentatum. Mendes, however, declined early and disappears in the 1st century, since both Ptolemy and Aristides mention Thumus as the only town of note in the Mendesian nome. So, let's go down here. Oh, my truth seekers. Oh, I just love giving you information. And it even makes me maybe want to love the Baphomet even more, knowing where it came from. Maybe these people aren't crazy after all. You see, what they do is they twist things backwards. And what's good is bad, and what's bad is really good. So let's take a look at this. And listen closely. The chief deities of Mendes were the ram deity, who was the Ba of Osiris, and his consort, the fish goddess Het Mihit, with their child Horus Pa Kared, which is Horus, the child. They form the triad of Mendes. A trinity, the Christ. Beautiful, actually. So let's take a look at the Ba of Osiris, since this is supposed to be in Mendes, Baphomet. The ancient Egyptians believed that a soul was made up of many parts. In addition to these components of the soul, there was the human body called the Ha. Occasionally a plural HW, meaning approximately sum of body parts. According to the ancient Egyptians, the god Atum created the world out of chaos, utilizing his magic. Because the earth was created with magic, Egyptians believed the world was imbued with magic, and so was every living thing upon it. When humans were created, that magic took the form of the soul, an eternal force which resided in and with every human being. The concept of the soul and the parts which encompass it has varied from the old to the new kingdom, at times changing from one dynasty to the other, from 5 parts to more. Most ancient funerary texts reference numerous different parts of the soul. The Egyptians believed that the human personality had many facets, a concept that was probably developed in early Old Kingdom. Wow. That is something else. Hmm. So the ram deity in of Mendes, the ram horns, was described by Herodotus in his histories as being represented with the head and fleece of a goat. Whereas anyone with the sanctuary of Mendes or who comes from the province of Mendes will have nothing to do with sacrificing goats, but uses sheep as his sacrificial animals. They say that Hercules' overriding desire was to see Zeus, but Zeus was refusing to let him do so. And eventually, as a result of Hercules pleading, Zeus came up with a plan. He skinned a ram and cut off his head. Then he held the head in front of himself, wore the fleece, and showed himself to Hercules like that. That is why the Egyptian statues of Zeus have a ram's head, is why rams are sacred to the Thebans, and they do not use them as sacrificial animals. However, there is just one day of the year, the day of the festival of Zeus, when they chop up a single ram, skin it, dress the statue of Zeus in the way mentioned, and then bring the statue of Hercules up close to the statue of Zeus, and everyone around the statue mourns the death of the ram, and they bury it in the sacred tomb. So now we see how the Greeks did the story about the ram horns on Zeus. Now you know, if you ever see a Zeus statue with the ram's horns, that's what happened. Demonologists in early modern times often imagined Satan as manifesting himself as a goat or satyr, which the Catholic Church, as I told you in my video, portrayed Pan, the little Capricorn goat hoose, as Satan to scare the newborn Catholic Christians into submission. Because they say goats had a reputation for lustful behavior and were used in the iconography of pre-Christian gods like Pan and the goat of Mendes. The occultist Eliphas Levi, in his book in 1855, drew an image of the fictitious medieval idol Baphomet that conflated it with the goat of Mendes and the imagery of satanic satire. The image of the satire like Baphomet and its supposed connection with Mendes has since been repeated by various occultists, conspiracy theories, and neo-pagans. Wow. Had no idea. First, we have a city in ancient Egypt named Mendes. And then, in the religion aspect, the deities of Mendes was the Ba of Osiris and his consort with their child, Horus. And then they turn this into a satanic, evil Baphomet, when that is nothing of the sort. It's kind of sad. As above, so below, as within, as without. We are one, and all is with the creation. Ancient Egyptians knew that we were from the divine. They knew that everything was on the same vibrational or different vibrational frequencies, but we all were in synchronicity with one another. So my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this learning video of Mendes, Baphomet, and the history of my beloved ancient Egyptians. So for Halloween trick-or-treat, I hope you have a great one. So as always, me and Thoth and Anubis in the back and Bastet say Hotep Ashe and always seek the truth. Goodbye, my friends.